Hello my friends, my name is Russell Wright. If you're watching this video, you're probably taking our Cora Extractor software course and the Cora Empire FAQ course. This is designed to help you integrate your ISDNA, or your industry solution, otherwise known as your Innovators solution, before you begin to engage in the amazing process of generating multiple income streams on an automated level using what we call the perpetual lead magnet machine. It's very important that all of my students understand the concept of the innovator's dilemma. And Mike Masnick of TechDirt has done an incredible job of concisely presenting a whiteboard lecture that explains the super basic idea behind the innovator's dilemma and the paradox of what we call the innovator's solution. We're going to go ahead and watch this together. Grab a cup of tea or coffee. I'm going to sit here and watch it with you. And then when we're done, we're going to have a little bit of discussion. I'm going to download a few things from my brain. I'm going to talk to you about how we at Network Empire and ThemeZoom think about the innovator's dilemma in context, and hopefully this will help you move forward in creating your frequently asked question and your should ask question, what we call the ISDNA matrix. Many of these concepts were provided to me in their basic form by Mike Koenig of Traffic Geyser and enhanced for our Network Empire Kraken and ThemeZoom software students who needed to find a good way to incorporate the ultimate keyword cluster to help rank on the search engines using far fewer inbound links than their competition. Let's go ahead and watch this video.
So, in the history of innovation, one thing is quite common. When a disruptive innovation hits the market leader almost never recognizes it. And that's because they confuse what market they're really in, such as believing that they're in the train market or the horse and buggy market, and not the transportation market. As Henry Ford once said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said, faster horses. So those who are in the legacy business mainly look at just improving an existing product and not at disruptive innovation. And thus, when something new comes along, such as the automobile, it's easily dismissed as not being good enough to compete. It's noisier, it smells bad, it's unreliable, and so it gets ignored as not being real competition. But the innovator's dilemma is that these technologies improve at a much faster rate than the existing technologies, and at a certain point, they better serve the demand of the customer. So dealing with the innovator's dilemma is key. First, take a step back and understand what business you're really in. And that's what benefit you provide customers, not what product. So it's not about horse carriages, but transportation. Being able to help people get from point A to point B in a better and faster way. Then, focus on the best ways to keep improving that benefit, recognizing that if you don't, someone else will. This is often difficult and can lead to an internal struggle as a legacy group fears competing with themselves. But out-innovating yourself always beats being out-innovated by someone else.
And that's the bottom line that I want to make sure that all of our students understand, is that it's better to throw the whole product away and start from scratch, because the speed to market is oftentimes much faster than your team that's developing the legacy product. And this is really what the innovator's dilemma is really about, because whenever you're doing anything in legacy, most companies, corporations, especially in the manufacturing side, don't have the flexibility to stop on a dime and start over. And this is why we talk about failing faster. You'll see a lot of innovators, including Steve Jobs, who've talked about, literally, I throw my ideas away 200 times a day. And it's the ability to be willing to fail and to fail faster that really is part of the innovator's solution. Again, remember, the innovator's dilemma is that legacy and established kind of boys clubs, traditional boys clubs of ideas where you have an established product that has been the way of doing things for decades, even centuries, can be literally destroyed overnight by a disruptive technology that only took, in flash prototyping, 1 year to create and two months to market. And all of a sudden it starts to begin to replace time. Like an example of this is Skype and the traditional phone business. Okay, it's not that phones stopped existing, but phones, including when you look at cell phone activity and Skype and all the new ways on the market to communicate, you know that the old monopolies and the old regular telephone dial-up systems, they just really aren't the primary mode of communication anymore. This is an example of extremely disruptive technology via demand overtaking old ways of doing things. Now, when you go to the next level of technology, what we call software, social media, services, and online marketing, you're at a whole nother level of speed, where we're dealing with things coming out so quickly now that literally you can have a product out, you can have a mobile app out in 4 days, hitting the market and being distributed virally through the right networks if you have your distribution. And those things can profoundly and are profoundly disrupting the traditional ways of going to market. The problem is that a lot of the companies that are developing software in the disruptive way is because the time to market is so fast. There's a tendency of all these software creators, these new content curation platforms, social media platforms, to forget, okay, really what it is that they're doing, what business is the customer in. And as a result, there's a huge opportunity for you as a consultant, a coach, or a business coach to help the real consumer in the market face what the real problem actually is. We talk about this as the vitamin or the painkiller. The real problem, the real deep human problem in the marketplace right now is total and utter overwhelm and inability to choose amongst the plethora of new products and services that are so disruptive that they're literally blowing the old traditional ways of doing things out of the water. Okay? And this new process is really what you call knowledge working. Okay? I call it KW. The knowledge worker is the new millionaire, okay? Because knowledge workers, the sole purpose of knowledge worker is to provide meaning and fast decisions, okay? They call this heuristic, to a huge market that is just doesn't have a lot of time, even though the time to market for a lot of these products is incredibly fast. So what are you really, when we're talking about this process, you know, getting to point A to point B, that was the transportation industry. What business are you really in? If you're an SEO, are you really in the search engine ranking industry? Are you just trying to provide rankings for your clients? Are you actually trying to help them get more customers and ultimately more sales and ultimately more marketing, ultimately more money in their bank account? What are you really in? You're in the business. You're in the business consulting business, even as an SEO. I've helped students who are SEOs jump from $2,000 a month to $20,000 a month when they started to realize that they needed to approach their business as an online trusted advisor, not merely an SEO service. So it's time to start looking about what it is that you're really providing and who it is that you're really serving. And the most important thing for you to understand in all of this is that you're not in competition with anyone. You're in competition with you, and only you. That has been our product and our positioning in the market. We have always told our students there is no such thing as real competition, because the best way, as he closed his talk, the best way is just to realize that you're only in competition with yourself. Okay? This is the way the loop should be. You ask the questions before the competitor does. You have a product, you have a team of people in your company that destroys products and plays devil's advocate. We do. Don't get caught up in the legacy way of doing things. If the whole thing's broken and it ain't worth fixing, throw it out and have a flexible company and a prototyping company, whether it's software or innovation, that allows you to do that. Because if you fail faster, you're going to get to market faster. You're in no competition with your. There really is no competition outside of yourself in the industry. And by having systems in place to be able to provide this, you're actually going to be able to always stay on what we talk about as the bleeding edge in your industry. And when you're talking about your ISDNA, which is what we teach you here in the Cora course, it's what we teach you in the networkempire.com course, the ISDNA really comprises of you creating a grid of, in whatever it is, whether it's your industry or your client's industry, of what we call frequently asked questions. The FAQ is all up here on the horse and buggy stage, because FAQ is the question that the market is currently asking. And those questions are not always the best questions, but the point is, for the search engines and for your social media environment, it is still the questions that you need to put in the content and in the website silo architectures of your site, because these are questions that are currently being asked, and therefore the spiders and the search engines are returning those results in the query boxes. So you need to have a list of the frequently asked questions, and the keywords that are extracted from those frequently asked questions are gold. Okay. Now what's interesting is you can also dive into the questions that are not being asked as much, if at all, and those are called should ask questions. Okay, and again, these are some of the innovative ideas that I received from Mike Koenig as one of my mentors and coaches in my past, creator of Traffic Geyser. We've taken the 10 by 10 by 4 matrix to a whole nother level because we're actually, our purpose is to come up with a sweet spot right here in the middle between the FAQ and the SAQ. And that sweet spot is going to be where those keywords overlap. And you're going to insert those keywords into your DNA. And what you're going to do is you're going to bring those into Kraken and Domain Web Studio, and you're going to find out exactly where the most profitable conversation is. And you're going to drive the market by transforming frequently asked questions into should ask questions with innovative videos and solutions, exactly in the way that you're seeing me do it right now in your own way. Okay? And that's really what we're looking at with the ISDNA process. This is really part of the Innovators Dilemma. Okay, this is the book you can maybe check out if you want to know more about this, Clayton M. Christensen, and The Innovator's Solution, which is a book that followed not that far after. And so this is really the ISDNA process, and we wanted to make sure that you understood that because those of you who are taking part in what we call the perpetual lead magnet machine, you're already aware that the ISDNA, or the Innovator's Solution, Innovator's Dilemma, and the frequently asked questions to should ask questions is a significant portion and a significant step in literally owning your market all the time because you're not in competition with anyone else. You're only in competition with yourself. So that's an introductory course to the Innovator's Dilemma for all of the Quora Extraction students. I hope this has been helpful. Quora is the ideal place to find both the frequently asked questions and position your should ask questions as a disruptive innovator and as a disruptive business coach and consultant or SEO firm or even marketing firm in that environment where you're indirectly providing useful information without direct selling, magnetically attracting the ideal prospect, customers, and industry experts to your blog, to your website using the Innovator's Solution because you're always competing only with yourself. My name is Russell Wright from networkempire.com and Quora Extractor. I look forward to seeing you on the inside.